Welcome to another edition of Swim Easy Speed. Today we're going to look at local age group triathlete and triathlon coach Jeff Short. And what I'll do is I'm just going to let the clips play out, and then we'll get back in and start talking about it. Okay, so what we're going to look at here first is we just want to look at, in general, his waterline's pretty good. It looks like every now and again he's burying his head a little bit too much. Hips could definitely be higher, feet could be higher. That would be the first thing you can see. You can see kind of the feet are coming apart, that stabilizing kick that we've seen a lot in the past from other athletes. And those are some of the things like the really, really just low-hanging fruit that you want to try and get at, to solve these problems. And you need a very, very stable kind of body position. And, that obviously some of that's kind of proprioception and technique. But some of it is you need to have the strength and conditioning and fitness to hold the body position in that place, in the water, in this really, really unstable environment. So it becomes where you just got to spend a lot of time in the water training to build up the strength and conditioning and fitness. Now, one of the areas where you can kind of be a little bit more efficient in the training is get in the weight room. If you do the right kind of weight program, strength and conditioning program, you can really make a big impact on a lot of this. Okay, so, here you can see, he drops his elbow right there. We're just kind of pressing down. He does a pretty good job of getting on the stroke a little bit sooner and trying to pull forward. Now, it looks like the elbow kind of drops again a little bit, and he dumps a lot of pressure off his hand, which you'd want to work on. Again, here we go. Elbow's kind of dropping. A lot of pressure on the hand at the front of the stroke instead of driving everything straight forward. And then not really till about here that he gets to pull himself forward. So he's putting a lot of pressure. If we're thinking about, that seesaw kind of teeter-totter idea, if you're putting just this straight pressure down at the front of the stroke, it's going to put pressure on the head and shoulders to go up, and then for the hips and the feet to sink. And that's not kind of the ideal body position that we want to be in. And then you can see kind of here, right there, the hip's a little flat, and the finish on the stroke is just, there should be just a little bit more snap back there, kind of throwing that water down his leg. If you look here, that gap for him probably, in the 3 to 5 second 100 kind of range. We can get all that up. That he'd be going 3 to 5 seconds 100 faster, and it wouldn't be any more effort on his part. So the other thing that we can see here is we've got to work on kind of some ankle flexibility a little bit. We've got a foot kind of coming out here, another one kind of pointed straight down. That would be one of the things that you'd want to get, because all of this kind of the foot in that position is just going to further put pressure on this back end to come down and create a lot of drag in the process because, this is all drag. That's all drag kind of. You can see the side of the foot like that. coming out to the side, because we really want these feet, just like at the top of the stroke where you want all of this from kind of the hip driving straight forward, and then from the hip on this side driving straight forward. You want from the hip kind of down, you want the leg pretty close together and not moving really outside of that lane. That's kind of the position that you want to get in, because you're compact, you're creating the minimum amount of drag possible in the water, and that's what's slowing us down. That's what's causing all the effort. That's what's making it where we're less and less efficient, is the drag. And so we want to minimize that as much as possible. And anytime you see kind of, I'll slow this down a little bit, you can see his feet coming way apart, all to stabilize the stroke and stabilize his body in the water. So he's in effect kind of fighting himself to go forward. I think we were a little bit too much rotation to get the breath with the body, when all you have to really do is just kind of, turn the head to the side to breathe. And I think we worked on this a little bit. Yeah, so you can see he's out here kind of entering the water. So the entry's pretty wide. There's a lot of momentum kind of taking him this way. And remember, I'll say it again, everything's driving straight forward from the hip, okay? And that's what we want to, that's the very minimum, the lowest hanging fruit that we can look at is that. So then when we look here, so here's the breath, and here's the recovery of the arm. So if we go and do, there's the plane of the water, there's the shoulder. He's 62 degrees. We'd really like to see that more closer to 30 to 40 degrees because, again, we're impacting the angle of that shoulder on the water, and then that puts midline kind of probably right about there, maybe in a little bit more. But, obviously that's way far away from where the hand is. So you're just putting a lot of pressure on the top part of this shoulder. And we want the whole body involved in the pull, in the movement. And then on the non-breathing side, it looks a little bit better. So if we're here, we'll see what that is. So here's kind of the plane of the water. There's a shoulder. Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't change it that much. I mean, I wouldn't obsess about 5 degrees. That's about where you want to be. So that looks pretty good. But yeah, the big things are just getting more core engagement, getting the body to the brain and body to recognize how you go really straight forward. Okay, so here we go, pulling through. You can see the fingertips are pointed more over here. So he's, it'd be better if we had the fingertips kind of pointed down straight to the bottom of the pool. And because then, we might be able to get these angles to change. So this, we typically like to see at about 100 to 110 degrees. So he's pretty shallow here, not getting the maximum amount of leverage he could on the water. And you can see how it swoops in and then swoops way out. And that's why that hand kind of dies at the end, because he just doesn't have the leverage on the water. And then here's the breath. So you can really see, here's midline. Here's that hand way over here. When we'd want it to be more kind of in here. And then as we come through, you can see, we're wide, way open. And here's all that instability that he's trying to correct for. And then the other foot is somewhere kind of way over here. And that's going to be one of the things that he's really going to want to work on. And, what we did was we went to just the position 11 drill just to get him to flatten out a little bit. We talked about other things during the session, trying to cue him to get, the head up a little bit more so it wasn't so buried. And then here we go on this one. See if we can a little bit better. When you look at midline though, there's midline. So he's pretty far outside. And we just need more stability in the stroke for him to get where he wants to be. So, for him, the big thing is going to be just doing that position 11 drill until he gets to the point where he's really driving the stroke forward. There's still rotation, but he's just not rotating to those kind of extremes to get the breath to just rotate. You know, it's a little bit flatter. Everything's more kind of driving straightforward. So, as always, thank you for tuning in. Appreciated Jeff coming on out to the session. And yeah, we hope to see everybody back in the pool soon.